And thanks to Robert Scoble for letting everybody know about the thought crimes bill pending in Congress.
If you thought net neutrality was off the agenda, you haven't read Senate Bill S. 1959.
What are we going to do?
We are going to wake up, people!
It's called the Violent Radicalization and Homegrown Terrorism Prevention Act of 2007.
To make sure that this commission, if it becomes law, and I'm hopeful that it will, has a major focus on studying this phenomenon before radicalized individuals turn violent.
Welcome to Better Bad News.
The internet is good in some respects, but unfortunately the internet also facilitates
Thought crimes
and social networking. Powerful.
Could you give us more specific information?
We need to police them, whether it's the social networks, child predators, sexual content, or radical groups, because there really are no different.
There can be no doubt the internet is increasingly being used as a tool to teach and radicalize, to become indoctrinated by extremists, and to learn how to kill neighbors in our communities.
I am probably a radicalized, homegrown terrorist, but I don't realize it. How about you?
S. 1959 will legalize the process of punishing the government's political opponents. And creeping fascism in this country will pick up speed.
This is not
fast.
rhetoric. It's a technical fact. Time is short. The shift to fascism is on. Way on.
Obama had better do the right thing, because Obama sits on the committee in the Senate that will be deciding on this. He can stop S. 1959 from becoming law.
I know his sister. Is this my man Obama? It's me, Eddie. How you doing? She's okay. But what's going on down there with the Senate Bill S. 1959? Why not? Why did you promise that? You dumbass. If you don't stop S. 1959, Dennis Kucinich is going to kick your ass. Ron Paul is going to kick your ass. Are you feeling me? Oprah is going to kick your ass.
The internet, because of its globalization, because of all the influences that have been mentioned earlier, is something that requires new strategies and new approaches.
Would set up a commission not unlike the discredited House Un-American Activities Commission of the 1950s.
Why go to all the bother and expense of studying about history when we can just wait for it to be repeated again and again for free? Woohoo!
Think thought crimes.
Homegrown terrorism is defined by H.R. 1955 as the use, planned use, or threatened use of force.
Force? What about organized labor? Is that a force? Is people power a force?
Adopting or promoting an extremist belief system for the purpose of facilitating ideologically based violence, advance political, religious, or social change.
This vile act equates websites used by animal rights activists with websites showing instructions for constructing bombs.
We have to be aware of the empowering effect of the internet on extremists. Translated into English, we go through a cyanide bomb. These people are constructing their own version of reality.
Osama bin Laden was able to inspire 19 young men, including some who couldn't fly, to fly these planes through the air, defeat the most sophisticated military defense system in history, strike the Pentagon, which is surely the most protected building on the face of the planet, and then bring down 3 World Trade Center buildings by striking 2 of them in such a way that several laws of physics were violated. That is simply fabulous when you think about it.
There's a psychological element to all of this, as if many people's ability to think clearly were compromised.
There's an encyclopedia of jihad available online, shows how to make a car bomb. Some of these are conspiracy theories full of doctored events in world history, such as blaming 9/11 as in part of an outside job or a job by outside groups such as the U.S. government, how to use cell phones as detonators, discussion groups based in the United States. The counter history.
It's extremely important that we know the truth. It could happen again.
Richard Gage. This guy has a website that is a harnessed net of thought criminals.
The pretext for 2 wars.
He's on Jane Harmon's shit list.
I wonder who radicalized Richard Gage. Terror personified.
The internet allows them to share violent goals and plot from the comfort of their living rooms.
We must make users aware of the misinformation and the techniques used by extremists.
Patriotic citizens assembled at the Boston waterfront, hurling copies of the 9/11 Commission report into the Boston Harbor.
The Boston Tea Party was an act of force.
That is terrorism. The H.R. 1955, terrorism. It's homegrown terrorism.
So many of our young people are looking for a cause.
Terrorism. Terrorism.
It's very easy if they find this online to be drawn into it.
Terrorism.
If Ann Coulter accidentally fell into an empty elevator shaft on the top floor of a 110-story high-rise building, would it only take her 9 seconds to reach the lobby?
What can we do to go on the offensive? In other words, are we doing enough to create false websites and maybe turn the internet into a less reliable source of information?
You can see for yourselves how to train to enter a non-Islamist music forum, for example, and to use that as a propaganda tool.
Twisted truths. What screen democracy day and night misinforming me.
Thank you very much for that fascinating testimony and for the video.
If you thought net neutrality was off the agenda, you haven't read Senate Bill S. 1959.
The internet is increasingly being used as a tool to teach and radicalize, to become indoctrinated.
That is so stupid to say.
A little bitty law here, a secret police over there. It creeps. For a long time, the population doesn't notice it.
When you finally notice it, guess what?
It's too late. I thought it couldn't happen here. I like Ann Coulter.
Obama, it's me, Eddie. How you doing? So if I put up a website called Kick Obama's Ass if he doesn't stop Senate Bill 1959, what happens if somebody who visits the site decides later to track you down, and one day while you're giving a speech about creeping fascism,
I could be hauled in. I left comments on the website.
What if I accidentally radicalize somebody?
That facilitates Barack Obama's ass getting kicked.
Is that going to get me on a
you're
list?
soft on fascism. It's when laws are passed quietly that roll back civil rights. Each step is a small step. It's happening in the United States. It's not a theory.
It's a thought crime bill. We are entering stage 3. First, they ignore you, then they ridicule you, then they fight you, then you win.
1776, we kicked monarchy's ass, okay? That's what Americans do.
Stop it! Stop it!
People power works when people understand that things are darker than they realize. The headline reads, U.S. switching to fascism, gradual shift to proceed staged attack.
And the Jersey Girls, don't forget them. Ann Coulter hates the Jersey Girls.
A nonviolent nonviolent active imagination for the purpose of advancing social change in the spirit of the Boston Tea Party.
I'm going to imagine that my senator explodes from the top down, collapsing neatly into his footprint.
Better bad news. Half true, more or less 100% of the time.
If you don't stop S1959, I am nonviolently kicking your ass all over town in my mind. It's just a thought. Is that a crime?